All right, guys, moving on with our last bit of movie news for the day. You may have heard of this. There's a little bit of casting news announcement from Warner Brothers and DC Films. Sarah Shahai, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Sarah Shahai. That's the pronunciation I'm going with anyway. She has just been cast as the latest member in the Black Adam movie, right alongside Dwayne Johnson playing Black Adam, right along other characters playing like Hawkman and Atom Smasher. So she has just been cast. Now, what's interesting to me about this, first and foremost, is that the Black Adam movie has been pulled from the release schedule, from DC Films' release schedule. Like Wonder Woman is still holding on to its Christmas Day release. The Flash movie got pushed back. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, that got pushed back to 2023, I think. 2022, 2023, something like that. But Black Adam on the release schedule is kind of nowhere to be found right now. So first of all, it's interesting to me that we're still getting a casting announcement, I guess. Sorry. All of that is to say, like, all of this is evidence that this movie is still happening. They're still moving forward with this film. But my question here is, who exactly is she playing? Now, Natalie, you and I have talked a little bit off screen about possibilities, who she might be playing. I would like to cast a theory. If I can go through some of the characters in the movie, people who have already been cast. Black Adam, obviously, being played by Dwayne Johnson. That's a done deal. We have Atom Smasher being played by Noah Centineo. I think that's how you say his name, Noah Centineo. Being played by Adam Smasher. Being played by him. We have Hawkman, who, Natalie, can you remind me, it was the actor from The Invisible Man. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Aldous
Hodge.
Hodge. He did a great job.
Fantastic. He just got cast as Hawkman, who is kind of like, if you're not familiar with Hawkman, he's like the DC version of Falcon, and of course Atom Smasher is kind of the DC version of Ant-Man. But there are two characters in the film yet to be cast. One is Dr. Fate, who is essentially the DC version of Doctor Strange, and then Cyclone, who is kind of the DC version of Storm from the X-Men. It's most likely that Sarah Shahai is going to be playing Cyclone. Most likely. However, I would like to submit for approval of the Midnight Society. Which is a joke that I used earlier.
Deep cuts.
Deep cuts.
Yeah.
I would like to propose an idea. It's possible. Not likely, but it's possible that DC Entertainment, DC Films might be considering Sarah Shahai for the role of Dr. Fate. Natalie, you've had a chance to mull this over. You've had a chance to think about this and hear about this. What are your initial thoughts here?
Well, initially, I feel like that's pretty progressive of DC if they decide to go that route. I honestly feel like more likely that probably won't happen. Hopefully, she's not just the love interest, some kind of nameless character, because that would be on par for both Marvel and DC to waste a great actress on, oh, she's the love interest, or at least write her character to only be that.
I agree.
So, but as far as gender swapping, we've talked about this a bit, but it's kind of a risky move for any major studio that holds the cards to any fandom in which their fans are super obsessive about the source material.
Fans being super obsessive? What?
I know, so weird. Yeah. Sam Kennedy, somewhere right now. So when you do make those little changes, like, while we might see that as being progressive and who cares, yeah, why not? There might be some diehard Dr. Fate fans out there to a gender swap. and right now DC doesn't need that kind of bad anything. So
Well,
I don't know about that.
we got a gender swap with, kind of going back to the well of like supernatural characters, with Tilda Swinton's, the ancient one, I think was the character
Yeah.
she was playing in the Doctor
Hmm.
Strange movie. Marvel Studios took a lot of heat for not gender swapping the character, but for whitewashing the character. And like, I can understand from Marvel Studios' perspective, they're thinking, "Hey, we're trying to be progressive here. We're trying to think outside of the box. Let's be more inclusive in our casting choices." So they went with Tilda Swinton to play the Ancient One, who in the comics is traditionally a male character, a Chinese male character. Was it Chinese or Tibetan? I
Sure, I
think
want
he
to
was
say he's
Chinese.
Tibetan.
Maybe he was Tibetan.
I think you're thinking of the Mandarin, which is another
Right.
example of, yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you were saying before that there were, like, again, off screen, that there are multiple examples in the comics of characterizations that didn't really come off too well.
Yeah, I honestly I feel like those two moves that we just talked about, the Mandarin, which by the way, I loved that move. I know with Iron Man 3 that was super controversial, like back in
I hated it.
2013,
I
when
hated
they're
it.
like,
I
I
love
know,
Ben
I know, I
Kingsley.
know, but
I love Ben Kingsley, but I hated like the story. What they?
okay, pin in that. But let's say the Mandarin, let's say the Ancient One, those are in pretty deep stereotype categories, at least historically speaking, the way the comic books portray those characters. And they're probably more concerned of playing up racial stereotypes right now than they were of thinking like, oh, what happens when you either whitewash those characters or
Yeah,
one way or another. But one way, I mean, just like your reaction to the Mandarin, people get very,
it's true.
very emotionally attached to
It's true.
certain things. So,
It's true. But all of that is to say, I have my theories. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's likely. If we had to do like a 50% over under, I definitely think it's going to be under. Like, Natalie, where do you stand with the 50-50 over under there?
definitely, I would say under probably like 20 or 30% chance. I just don't see WB and uh
DC films?
WB. I just don't see, yeah, WB and DC really taking a risk like that.
Yeah, it would be risky, especially being that their catalog hasn't traditionally had like amazing hits. It's definitely been hit or miss. The
Hmm.
first in the Walter Hamada era, we've had more hits than we've had misses. Wonder Woman was fantastic. The standalone Joker film was brilliant. I personally loved the Birds of Prey movie, the Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I loved that movie. I thought it was fantastic, but I know it didn't get a great reception from everyone. I think it's in like the 60s, like the high 60s, low 70s on like Rotten Tomatoes in terms of like dislike. Um, but all of that is to say, like, they've been getting better. Like, Aquaman was a stupid movie, but it was fun. Holy guacamole, was that movie fun, you know? So they've progressively been getting better, but therein lies the conundrum. How progressive are these films going to get? I think Marvel, did they proved themselves, or after they proved themselves with really good movies, not just good comic book movies, but good movies, then they were able to start thinking outside of the box. They could take some risks. Hey, this one didn't go over so well. This one did, whatever. But yeah, I think you're onto something that, DC probably doesn't want to take that kind of a chance right now. It might not be within their best interest.
I agree.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of the new casting for the Black Adam movie with Sarah Shahai? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Do you think we're onto something with the possibility that she might be playing Dr. Fate? Or do you think it's more likely that she's going to be playing Cyclone in the film? Or, as Natalie pointed out earlier, do you think it's possible she might be playing the love interest? Which we all hope not. We hope not, because that's... Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Batman from the animated series would want you to do. His name is Batman.